welcome to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Felicia and I am a full-time hair business owner and full-time hairstylist. And I specialize in traditional installs and glueless closure installs. Today I'm going to show you how I did a traditional install with a minimal leave out. This is my client's first sew-in. So she didn't know how her hair was going to take with the leave out. So we did end up using my Yaki straight bundles, and I think the length was 20 inches. So my client typically wears braids, and as you can see around her perimeter in the front, her hair looks a little broken off. So when it comes to breakage, I try my best not to braid that up. So I did leave her edges out as much as I can while still making it manageable for her. And so my braid pattern, I know everybody is like in a frenzy and feels like a beehive or a basket. Foundation is the only way that you can get a flat foundation and make your install last for a long time. However, when it comes to the beehive, I feel like it depends on the density of the client's hair. And so for this install, I did decide to just do braids going down and towards the back. She does have like two perimeter braids, as you can see right next to her leave out. That way I can make sure that that track is closest to her leave out. That way it can be seamless and no tracks are shown. And as you see here, the braids are small. When it comes to a flat foundation, you have to make sure that you are braiding your foundation as neat as possible. I always tell people 6 braids is not going to do it, especially if your client does have like a thicker or longer hair. You need to make sure your braids are small and flat as possible. And I do use a net unless my client requests to not have a net sewn on, or like if they suffer from seborrheic dermatitis or psoriasis, just because this net can make it harder for them to access their scalp if they need to like oil it or do any of that. So I like the net personally just because I feel like it makes the sew-in last longer and it does provide that protection to your hair, in my opinion. I have clients that leave in their hair for 3 months, and especially with the net, their tracks still are intact. So I just like the net, but honestly, it's based on a preference. I don't feel like if you don't get a net, it won't last longer. It's really based on preference and what you prefer. I always give my clients that option. And so now I am sewing in the bundles, and like I said, I believe we used 3 20-inch bundles, or it could have been 22. I don't remember the length. So when I start sewing in the bundles, I do typically double all 3 bundles, and I start from the very back. And the stitch method I use is like the blanket stitch. So every stitch I make a knot, and I just feel like that way, if my client is combing through their hair and they break a thread, it's not going to unravel their whole track. And as you've seen a little bit ago, I was showing you guys how I flip my tracks. So I do not cut my tracks at all. What I do when I start going towards the top is I drop the first track and I continue to sew up with the second track. And as you can see, as I'm working my way back down the hair, I grab it and I continue to do that method all the way through. That way my client doesn't have to worry about their tracks being cut up, because they are paying a pretty penny for their hair. And it's the same thing right here. You see me drop the first track and continue to sew up, and then flip it over, and then you'll see me grab that second track. That is the method I use all the way up to the top. And when I am doing a side part, I do not start bringing the tracks all the way up until the second bundle, because I do want that hair to fall in her face, because it looks more natural, and that's just how our natural hair falls. And because she does have that breakage, so I did, as you can see, leave some of her edges out, just that way I'm not pulling or adding any extra tension or breakage to her hair. Because at the end of the day, y'all, yes, we love our sew-ins, our wigs and all that, but it is important to make sure that your hair is healthy under your wigs and your sew-ins. So for me, I like to make sure that I am not using or putting a lot of tension on my client's hair. And if you can ask any one of my clients, they'll be like, no, like my head does not hurt when she's done. The net or me sewing does not add any extra tension. And so when it comes to that last track, you guys, I do like to leave the net on. As you can see, I am sewing very, very close to her leave out. This is going to help me make sure that it is seamless all the way through, and there's no tracks or no see-through like the top of her leave out is not see-through, or like you can see tracks. And as you can see, y'all, it is so seamless and it looks so good. So when it comes to this texture, I had to blow it out. It is a yaki straight, so I tried to blow it out as straight as possible because I wanted to go in and curl it. Anytime I'm curling hair, I always like to blow it out, and then I flat iron it. I go over it with the flat iron before I actually start to blend their natural hair. Okay, y'all, so this is now the most important part, blending your leave out. So she is 100% natural. She does not have any perms or anything on her hair. So when it comes to blending her leave out, I do use my wax stick from my brand, Mane of Opulence. And I did use my Spritz and Silk in a Mist. You can find this directly on my website at maneofopulence.com. So when you're dealing with natural hair, you have to work in sections. Take your time. That is the key, okay? So as you see, I am parting the hair. I'm putting the product on, and then when you're using that hot comb, make sure you're using the back of the hot comb. You see how I'm using the back of it, and see how straight that is? You have to use the back of the hot comb if you want to get that hair as straight as possible. If you're not using the back of the hot comb, you guys, you're using the hot comb incorrectly, okay? Use the back of the hot comb. That is going to smooth the hair, okay? So once I am done with the hot comb, I go in with the flat iron and I just flat iron those pieces. And as you can see, I am getting her edges, and I am doing what? Using the back of the hot comb, because the back of the hot comb is going to get her edges straight. And I just repeat this process throughout the top of her hair, where her leave out is, until everything is completely blended out. And again, you guys can find bundles and these products at maneofopulence.com. And this is what it should look like if it's done correctly. You see how blended and flat that looks, you guys? Look how good that looks. You can't even tell where her hair extensions started or ended, or where her natural hair started and ended. That's exactly what you want. It should look as natural as possible, okay? So the products that you use on your leave out matters. So go ahead and grab y'all a little wax stick and a little Silk in a Mist, okay? maneofopulence.com. And if you have not yet liked this video or subscribed, I need you to go ahead and like this video and subscribe. Drop in the comments what you guys want to see next. Once we get to 1,000 followers, you guys, maybe I'll do a giveaway. So go ahead and share this video with your favorite hairstylist, or with your cousin, your grandma, or your mom, okay? And at this point, y'all, I just knew it was gonna give, okay? My client was looking in the mirror, and she was telling me, like, Kalisha, this looks really, really good. Like I said, it's her first sewing, and look at that smile. I love to see it, okay? So the reason why I slicked up her edges is because she had that breakage, and I didn't want to add any more heat. And the key to slicking edges, you guys, I do not use, what is that called? Edge control. I use braiding gel. And I have a trick, okay, when it comes to baby hair. So maybe if we get to 1,000 subscribers, I can go ahead and drop that tea for y'all. But edge control does not work for natural hair for some reason. It just poofs back up. So when it comes to my clients, I like to use braid gel. But I like to use a specific braid gel because all braiding gel is not made the same, okay? And so now what I'm doing is I'm just going in and adding some curls. So when it comes to this texture of hair, this hair is going to have a lot of texture to it. So I didn't expect it to be super curly, how my curls usually come out, because this hair, like I said, has a lot of texture to it. But it was perfect, and it blended well with her hair. Y'all let me know in the comments how I did. Make sure to go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. If you are wanting another video, or if you need help on a specific technique, drop it in the comments so I can go ahead and help y'all out. Thank y'all so much, and make sure to check out my website, maneofopulence.com. Grab your bundles, your wigs, and your hair care products.